The League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 to educate the millions of new women voters granted the right to vote by the 19th Amendment. Today, almost 100 years later, the League remains a nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government. I'm a member of the League. We're open to men, and the League of Women Voters encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government and works to increase the understanding in major public policy issues and influences public policy through education and advocacy. We are open for new members, and in the back of the room we have a membership table if you're interested in learning more. You can also visit the website smartvoter.org to learn more about candidates for this office and any other one. It's a voluntary site where candidates can list their important information. Tonight we're also very grateful to have the members of the AAUW joining us. Their mission is advancing equity for women and girls through advocacy, education, philanthropy, and research. We're also very grateful to the City Council, Camarillo, and the staff for helping us put on tonight's forum. Candidates, you'll notice that you have the timer in front of you. We're going to open with 3 minutes, and that'll count down till the time's up. At this time, we're ready to begin, and we'll start with Mr. Mario De La Pedro.
Thank you so much. First of all, allow me to thank the League of Women Voters. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak here today. Thank you all for coming today. I look forward to your questions. Allow me to introduce my fiance. Crystal and I have been dating since we were in 8th grade. I met Crystal when I was in 5th grade and asked her out a couple of times, and she said no. Then asked her again in 8th grade, and she kept saying no. Finally, after the 8th time, she said yes, and we've been dating ever since, and we're going to get married in July. So she means a lot to me, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to introduce her to you today. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Fillmore, California on a small little farm. Went to San Diego State University, and after San Diego State, I decided to go traveling. And traveling really changed my life. I actually traveled one time around the world, and left from the East Coast of the United States, came back from the West. And I saw a lot of things that really changed my life, including a lot of poverty, a lot of depression, a lot of desperation. And it really inspired me to help people. So when I got back, I got a job at an insurance agency and got really involved in the community, especially organizations like the Rotary Club and 501c3 called Shelter Box and $100 Solution, and numerous of projects that I decided to get involved in. And that's what it was all about, is helping people. I really fell in love with just helping people. And this is when this opportunity came and when I was considering running, I felt it was this opportunity to help people. And that's why I decided to throw my hat in the ring and to do whatever I can to help California, to help our children, to help people get jobs, and to just help people. So thank you again for allowing me to come here and speak today. And again, look forward to your questions.
Our next candidate is Jackie Irwin.
Well, I would also like to thank the League of Women Voters and everybody that has come out today to listen to your assembly candidates for the 44th Assembly District. I've been in Thousand Oaks for the last 20 years with my husband John, who's in the audience, and our 3 children, Matthew, Luke, and John. Matthew, Luke, and Catherine. Catherine is a senior at Princeton University. Luke is a freshman at Brown University, and Matthew just graduated from UCI, and he has a job. He's actually off the family payroll now, so my husband and I are very excited about that. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and my parents are immigrants. They're sitting in the audience today. My dad is the typical American success story. He came to this country with $60 in his pocket, maybe it was a little bit more than that, with a high school education, immigrated to California and worked in the aerospace industry. He had a very successful career, and when he retired, he was awarded the Michelson Award for the highest civilian contribution to the Navy, and that is truly the American dream. I was the first one that graduated from college in my family. I went to UC San Diego and had earned a degree in systems engineering, and worked for a number of years at the Applied Physics Lab and Teledyne Systems Company. I've been 9 years on the City Council in Thousand Oaks, and by all measures, Thousand Oaks is a very well-run city. We're fiscally conservative. We've had a balanced budget for the last 9 years with a This has been especially difficult during the last recession. We haven't raised taxes and we didn't cut frontline services. I've also been a big supporter of public safety, and I'm very proud to have the endorsement of the sheriff and 20 other public safety organizations. We're a very environmentally forward city. We've had lots of national recognition for our environmental stewardship, and we're a business-friendly city. I have a record of working with Democrats and Republicans. I'm known for being pragmatic and being a problem solver, and I want to bring that experience up to Sacramento by representing the 44th District in the Assembly. I want to work on issues like jobs and education, public safety, and those terrible water issues that we're facing. California's had a rocky road, but it still has vast resources, and it is still the land of opportunity like it was for my family. And I want to be part of the solution that moves California forward. Thank you very much.
Now that we have all that clapping energy out of our system, I'm going to ask you to hold your applause, please, till the end. We want to be fair about everything. No applause, please. Jackie, we're going to start with you on the next question, and we'll go back and forth. This first one is, do you have a vision for the naval base Ventura County? Encroaching on development is an issue.
Well, obviously, my family comes from a background in defense, and so I think it's very important just for defense reasons to keep the Navy base open, but it is a huge job generator in our economy, and I will do everything I can to keep the naval base open. I'm also a member of the Regional Defense Partnership, so once a month we have meetings with elected officials from throughout the county and members of the naval base and contractors to make sure that we are completely able to defend the naval base against closing. So it is critically important that we support that valuable asset. It's very disappointing. We were looking at having Ventura County be one of the 6 drone test areas, and unfortunately we were unable to do that. But that's the type of opportunity we still have to look at. That would have brought manufacturing and other manufacturing and contractors into the county. So those are the type of opportunities we have to look at, and those are the opportunities that we have available with the naval base being in this county.
Thank you. And thank you for keeping your time to 1 minute and a half. Mario, we're resetting the clock, and we'll do 1 minute and a half for you as well. So, same question to you, Mario. Do you have a vision for the naval base Ventura County? And encroaching development is an issue. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the naval base is absolutely essential to keeping the Ventura County economy alive and thriving. I was listening to a speech the other day, and it said 16,000 jobs were related directly to the naval base here in Ventura County. So it's absolutely essential that we as legislators do everything we can to keep the naval base open, running, and thriving. In addition to that, I would hope at the federal level, and even at the state level and local level, we support our naval base in order for it to grow and help not only keep this country protected, but train vocationally for those people to go to the Coast Guard or to the Navy and work in jobs there, get experience, come into the private sector, and be either a good employer or eventually develop a business. So, I believe it's absolutely essential that we keep the naval base open, and it's a great thing overall for Ventura County.
Thank you. And let's stay with hot topics. Let's talk about water. This question says, how should Ventura County in California address the water crisis? Mario, we'll start with you.
When I work in agribusiness, and it's obviously a huge and major concern to agribusiness. It's in fact, if you look at the Oxnard Plains, just right out there, less than 5-6 miles away, there's an aquifer that's being depleted of its water at a massive, very quick rate. And in fact, it's getting so low, and the pressure is getting so low that salt water is actually starting to seep through. If that happens, that aquifer will be gone for years to come. And the state of California has not allowed water to come and fill that aquifer in order to prevent that. I was talking to Steve Barnard, the CEO of Mission Produce, and he said that farmers are actually preparing to furlough over 2,000 acres of land. That would be absolutely devastating. If you look at the amount of money that could potentially produce for the economy is going to be gone. The amount of jobs that it has for the economy is going to be gone. We need to immediately let water come down from Northern California and fill up those aquifers. It's absolutely essential, or else that's gone. And we need to do everything we can to protect that part of the economy.
Thank you. Same question to you, Jackie. What is your position on the water crisis in California and Ventura County?
Well, it's actually pretty timely. It was a water conference yesterday. That was an all-day conference, and then we got a shortened version over at Fran Pavley's, the group that she holds. It is an extremely complicated issue. There are a lot of competing interests. You have ag versus residential. You have Northern California versus Southern California. You have the issue of trying to protect the environmental health of the Delta. We really need to pass a water bond, and it's we need to look at, this is not something, the way it was put this morning, this is not something that's really a silver bullet. This is a whole bunch of different BBs. There's a lot of different solutions that you need to look at. So passing a water bond and then looking at each county, how they will work with what their local issues are. The biggest issue in Ventura County is salinity. So Callejas is looking at building a salinity line to try and, if we do things like desalinization, get the salt out of the water, put it into the line that goes out to the ocean. But we really need to address this problem. We need to pass a water bond. We need to look at the viability of the tunnels also. I think that everybody in this room agrees that one of the biggest assets we have in Ventura County is ag, and as you just heard Mario say, it is a huge issue that they're not getting their entire water supply. So we need to get the legislators working together. We need to put resources toward finding a solution to the water issue. Then that will probably include things like storage.
Thank you very much. Jackie, we'll start with you on the next one. The rainy day fund. There's been a lot of talk about a rainy day fund at the state level. If you were elected, what's your position on a rainy day fund?
I think one of the biggest problems we have in California is that we rely way too much on high income earners, and that's a big problem because their income comes from capital gains, and as everybody knows, capital gains go way up and way down. So I think it's crucially important for issues like education that we get some budget stability. And I really agree with what Governor Brown is looking at doing to create a rainy day fund with a set aside for education. They still haven't worked out in the legislature all the different components of it, but as an overall concept, I think it's crucially important that as I said, interests like education don't have this up and down in funding. We really need to make sure that we improve our educational outcome. And when colleges and K-12 do not know what kind of money they're going to have from one year to the next, they can't do the kind of planning they have to increase their educational outcome. So I would be in full agreement of establishing a rainy day fund.
Thank you. Mario, if you were elected, what would your position be on a rainy day fund?
So everybody has a savings account. Even every business has some type of savings in order for a quote-unquote rainy day. With that said, how big that rainy day fund is really the debate. How much do we keep and how much do we invest? Education, as she said, is 46. We're 46 in California and the United States. That is definitely an issue that we need to invest in. We need to invest and make it better. We need to make it be able to compete on the global economy. But having a rainy day fund, in my opinion, is a very, very interesting issue because how much of that do we keep and what exactly is it for? I mean, there's $106 billion in tax revenue a year to the state of California. How much of that do we actually need to save and what is the actual value of it? How much of that money are we putting aside rather than invested? And those are really the questions that we need to look at and critically look at in order to make sure we come up with the right solution.
Thank you. There's another question that's on everybody's mind. What is your position on high-speed rail? And Mario, we'll start with you.
You know, the idea of a high-speed rail is great. It's, we need to improve infrastructure. It would be great to travel from Los Angeles to San Francisco in 2.5 hours or whatnot, but unfortunately right now in our current economic climate, we just can't afford it. And that's really the only answer, is that we need to look at investing back into the economy, creating jobs, getting a bigger, broader tax base, allowing more people to come in, open business, get more employees here before we even look into developing something like a train. When I look at it, when someone says, oh, we need to build a train, we need to have high-speed rail support, infrastructural support the economy, I look at it as in, well, what is the benefit of it? If we invest 100 billion, is it going to create 106, 110, is it going to create 200 billion, 300 billion in tax revenue because of that train? Will it be a worthwhile investment for the state of California? And that's how we need to look and approach that subject. So it's a great idea, but is it fiscally sound right now? No. And do I support going into debt because of it? I don't. But I do believe that, again, we need to invest in our infrastructure, invest in our economy, and hopefully someday build to that point. So do we need to look at it as a viable option for the future? Yes. Does it need to be now? No.
Thank you. Jackie, same question to you. What is your position on high-speed rail?
Well, right now, obviously, we're going through a lot of questions about the financial viability of the high-speed rail. It's sort of stuck in the courts. So, assuming though that we can figure out how to build high-speed rail, we have to look at the fact that in Europe, if you go to Spain or you go to France, they are able to build a high-speed rail. We have to really be looking at the future, and these huge infrastructure projects create a tremendous number of high-paying jobs, and they have a big multiplier factor also. So I really think that this is something that we need to look at, because if we don't do it now, when will we do it? Again, we need to work out the financial issues with it, but we need to dream in California. We've always been forward-looking, and the high-speed rail is absolutely something that would be a big benefit to the California economy.
Jackie, we'll start with you on the next question. Do you support the legalization of marijuana? What is your position on marijuana and industrial hemp?
Industrial hemp. Well, I assume industrial hemp is fine. I'm looking over there at the sheriff, and he's saying, I have endorsed you. What are you going to say on this? I currently do not support the legalization of marijuana. There are, obviously there are a lot of good reasons that we hear about legalizing marijuana, but I think that we have good experiments going on right now in Washington and Colorado. Why don't we wait a few years to see what happens there? I've worked a lot in addiction. I've been very active in issues that are involving kids with drug addiction, and I'm not sure that for young minds that marijuana is not a gateway drug. Certainly the studies seem to show for adults that it's fine, but I think there are a lot of kinks that have to be ironed out before we should go full force into legalizing marijuana. There's the addiction issues, and then if it does end up being legalized, you have to make sure to fully tax it for all the detrimental effects on society. We are going to have a lot of issues if we suddenly legalize marijuana. So eventually I think it's something that we could look at. Obviously there would be huge financial benefit to the state, but we really need to be very clear about what the cost to society is before we legalize it.
Thank you. Mario, same question to you. Do you support the legalization of marijuana?
When I started my business, I looked at, what's the potential investment and what's the return? So, and I look at the legalization of marijuana the same way. What's the potential investment? What's the potential return? And right now, I think it's great that we have Colorado doing it, because we can look at it and learn from their mistakes, or if it's working out great for them, to potentially adopt that program into the state. With that said, though, first is look at the economic benefit, but then when I look at it from a personal level, it's a common analogy that I get is, well, people make their own beer, and why don't we just, we build tax revenue from buying beer, but yet people can make it. But that's not necessarily the same with plants too. So I don't necessarily know if it will generate enough tax revenue to make it legal or whatnot. So people could grow marijuana, they could produce a pound of it and use it, but will they go out to a market and buy it? Or they go out to a bar and smoke it? Looking at it, to me, will it be a tax revenue generator? And that would really be the determination factor for me.
Thank you. Mario, we'll start with you on the next question. There's several questions here about fracking, so I'm just going to ask you to tell us your position. Do you support the use of fracking technology? And any other comments you have about fracking in the state of California?
Yeah, I do support fracking technology. I think it's a huge generator in tax revenue. I think it's a huge generator for jobs. I think it's a crucial factor to keep businesses here thriving. I know Chevron is one of the biggest employers in California. If we do reduce fracking, and told them we could not do it anymore, where will they take those jobs and where will they leave from? So, yes, I do support fracking. All the studies I have read on it, and I know it's a very controversial issue,